All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Sorry, I'm stealing Hanny's
And welcome.
greeting. Welcome. Welcome to the weekly webinar for NBCC. We are your hosts of this webinar. My name is Claire Kelly. I'm the International Immigration Advisor at NBCC. And
And my
Hanny?
name is Hani Kemal. I'm International Affairs Coordinator at NBCC, and I work in out of Fredericton Corporate Office. And Claire is in.
I'm in sunny Moncton today. Well,
Hello.
this is where my office is. Yeah, in Moncton, and it is pretty sunny. It's snowy and sunny.
Yeah.
How about you? How's Fredericton?
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of students ask me about where you been last week.
Oh yeah, last week. Oh, thank you for asking. Last week I was unable to attend my favorite weekly webinar because I was under the weather. That's an expression we use in Canada, under the weather. I was feeling sick. I had a bit of a cough and cold, and so I wasn't able to make it out of bed. So luckily, our colleague Lucas filled in. I hope it went well. How did it go, Henny?
It felt great. We receive a lot of immigration-related questions, by the way.
Okay. So, so we might have some catching up to do today.
Hopefully. So
All right, great.
what is the agenda today?
Right. So the agenda today is, as always, we'll start with the most frequently asked questions that we've been getting this past week. So Hanny and I will help answer those first for about 20-30 minutes, and go over some reminders, review some things you should know at this point, and then we'll open it up for the final 30 minutes for questions from you. And it looks like we've got quite a few people tuned in already. Hi,
Yep.
everyone. I hope more join us. And then, of course, as always, a lot of people watch this video afterwards on YouTube. So that's great. So hi to everyone wherever and whenever you are watching this. So yeah. So we'll kick this off actually with some reminders. You wanted to start with some reminders of some of our resources. Is that right?
Yes, that would be great as we receive many questions and we're working on the resources that help students to find their right answers.
Hmm.
And I
And so
just
we
might,
wanted to show. Yeah.
yes, I just might ask the permission to share my screen.
Oh yeah. Oh, I guess I have the controls this week, don't
Yep.
I? So, or I could share my screen.
Yep,
Would that work?
of course. I
Can you
can
see
see a screen right now.
you can see my screen already?
I see visa permits and immigration.
Okay. Um, you see, does it say frequently asked questions for international students at the top? Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So we wanted to show you three three websites, I guess, three pages that we have on our NBCC website that you can find. Um, so one, and we'll include this in the sidebar in the comments. Yeah, and definitely later on our YouTube channel, we'll also include these
Yes,
links.
I will send the link to all the participants, and I will include
Great,
and they can watch it on YouTube. Just
awesome.
want to remind students that we receive a high volume of
That's
emails,
right.
and in order to avoid uh, frequently asked question, you can go and do your research and see what is available, because even if there could be some questions that you might not even think of, but they still there, and so it will give you new perspectives and new information.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. We do receive a lot of emails, and to cut down on those emails, that's why we've tried to do two things. We've tried to, well, stick to these weekly webinars so that hopefully we're answering your questions live. It's always best to hear it, in person, well, in camera, in video form by someone who's answering your question. But we've also tried to increase our resources on the website. We'll be working on that little by little every month. But yeah, just to work on those emails because we get hundreds of emails every day, it seems like hundreds of emails. So, so please understand that's why our email response time is slow. And so if you're waiting for an answer, please do go or even before sending that email, please go and check our website because we do have a lot of answers on there. A lot of the questions that we get, the answers are on our website. So you can see on the screen. So this is the first one I want to show you. Frequently asked questions for international students at NBCC. So a lot of the top questions we get. And then, so the next screen I'll show you is, actually I'm going to show you an ask.nbcc first. So this is something that's new um, with for NBCC for our website. This was just released in December or even January, and we are building this resource, but it's a search guide. Sorry, I had tried immigration. I need to increase the resources of immigration on there, but you can type any. It's your own Google for the NBCC website, and it comes up with your results there. So ask.nbcc is a handy search guide. And then as I said, because when I typed in immigration, there were only 5 results. What I would like to direct everyone who's watching this is the resources and guides that I've created um, on the NBCC website that I find are fairly helpful for almost every step of the way, because I've been at NBCC for just under a year, and I started when students were applying for their study permits, and so that's the first thing you'll see here. Can you see that, Hanny? Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So the study permit requirements and steps, which we reviewed a couple of weeks ago, for all students from all countries and those students coming from the student direct stream countries. So you'll find the PDFs there. So this is something we reviewed a couple weeks ago. Um, we've also got study permit refusal advice, something that then can help you get ahead of your sorry, I just realized that Annie sent me an email. So you can get ahead of a lot of students are worried that they might get refused, and these are some tips that you can get ahead of. These are some of the reasons that IRCC unfortunately may choose to refuse or deny your study permit application, and these are some ways that you can get ahead of that. So I've created that guide. Um, while I was here last year, it was, I was helping students come in to apply to NBCC. I was also helping current students with their decisions after NBCC. And so you'll find a presentation on life after NBCC, which talks about postgraduate work permits, which I know a lot of students have in advance, and then and some extra Q&A. And then also, this is the immigration presentation that have been sharing the past couple of months with students here, which kind of covers everything. So I just wanted to spend a couple minutes on that just to show you that for immigration questions, do check the resources and guides. These are the things that I've created since coming to NBCC. So we'll include all these links to these pages. So I'll hand it back over to you, Hanny, or I'll stop sharing my screen unless there's anything else I need to check on the screen there.
I think we're good for now. I just want to remind students who is going to watch the recording of this webinar that I will create chapters
Right.
in description, so you don't have to watch the whole webinar, but you can click
Jump,
to
yeah.
topics that that you are interested in, and let's say we're going to talk about mandatory work experience at NBCC or other questions. So just skip to the topic. So this would be like your video FAQ, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And Henny, I've just brought up the questions and comments here, and they said they can hear me perfectly, maybe because of this great headset. But if you could maybe speak up, that would be appreciated.
All right. But can
Okay.
you hear me, right?
I can hear you, but yeah, it's a bit more maybe distant. So um,
Okay.
just lean in, I guess.
Yeah, I will lean in
Okay.
closer to
So yeah,
you
we've
then.
we've already
Yep.
started to get questions, but we will take that at the end of at the end of this session.
Great.
So moving on, we'll move on to the most frequently asked questions in the past week. And so I think the first one was for you, eh?
Yep.
With early arrivals.
Let me just plug in my microphone and I'll be
Okay,
back.
sure.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, so you're leaving. All right. So, okay, Henny was going to answer the first question we had got a lot of questions of this past week, which was about early arrivals insurance. So I will hold off for that for the moment. But I will go to the top question that we've received in immigration, which is the mandatory work experience at NBCC. All right.
I'm
Oh,
back.
look at you. There we
Yep.
go. We're matching.
So I hope you can hear me much better
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
And
Sounds much better.
so do you want to continue with the questions?
Yeah, so I was just we'll come back to you. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
Go ahead.
okay, so mandatory work experience at NBCC. Um that was a question we received, correct?
Yes.
So yes, I would say for 90 to 95% of our programs at NBCC, work experience, like an on the job training, an internship, co op. It could be called many different things. It could be for 8 days, it could be for 8 weeks. But again, I would say most of our programs at NBCC do require a mandatory work experience. So, so when you are filling out your study permit application, they will ask you, is work part of your program, or is work experience part of your program? And you do have to check yes, and we have that included in so in your 2-page letter of acceptance. There is a the page that says personal information. You will see a bunch of different boxes, and box number 24 says internship slash work practicum. And for, I say, 90 to 95% of you out there, there's an X that says yes. So yes, there is an internship and work practicum, and it says the field of work. And typically, this letter, your letter of acceptance and how it says that is enough for IRCC. But we noticed that not all students were receiving their work permit. And it's not the end of the world. If you come into Canada and you don't have a work permit, you can apply when you're in Canada. But it's a lot easier if you get that at the same time as your work permit, or sorry, as your study permit. So what I did was I wrote an additional work experience letter, and so I wanted to just show you where that is. So I guess I'll share my screen again.
Yep.
Yeah. So as I said, the immigration resources and guides. If you see this list, you will see the third bullet here is mandatory work experience at NBCC, the letter. And this is a letter to IRCC, Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada, that explains that work experience is a part of your program, or of most programs. So you can attach, when you're applying for your study permit, you of course, you submit your letter of acceptance from NBCC, but you can also attach this letter. So we will also provide this this link in the follow-up um, in the follow-up email and on our YouTube channel. So do add that to ensure that you get your work permit. But I've actually received a few emails from students who said, "Oh no, I've already applied for my study permit and I didn't check yes." And they were worried about that. And I would say, don't lose sleep over it. That's an understandable mistake. That's okay. But please, when you are coming into Canada, we'll have a whole, entry to Canada webinar. But when you are coming across the border, you can print out and show this letter at that time as well, and you could get it at the border, your work permit. So it's not the end of the world. If you've already applied for your study permit and you didn't know about this, it's okay.
Great.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I just want to remind students, even when you arrive at Canada, because you will receive your study permit at the airport or place when you
That's
enter the Canada, just make
that's
sure
right.
that you receive your work permit, because even students who apply for it, sometimes immigration officer could be very busy and they might not even notice
That's a very good point.
that you need it. We saw it in the past, so make sure you you let immigration officer know that work is part of your study, and yeah, make sure you got your work permit at the entry into Canada,
Yep.
especially for students who is watching it and coming in spring to study
Yes,
their
in April.
programs.
Yeah. Yeah, for all those April students. Yes, so please find that letter, print that letter, put it with your package. But before most students arrive in April, we'll have a special spring webinar or pre-spring webinar for entry to Canada. So
Yep.
stay tuned for that. Okay. We also have that
Yeah.
on our playlist from last summer, so you could go and watch that if you're leaving soon for some reason,
Yep.
right? Okay, awesome.
Thank
So
you.
mandatory work experience was one of the questions. Did we want to go back to early arrivals
Yep.
insurance? Okay, great.
Yes, I just want to let students know that when you come to study at NBCC, you the to have insurance, it's mandatory by NBCC. So as soon as you come and study at Canada, the international insurance would be included in would be part of your mandatory fees. However, I just heard from some students who came earlier, because if you start studying in April, the classes starts on April 21st, but you might come at the beginning of April, and then students ask me, does my insurance cover early arrival? And Guard insurance, NBCC insurance does not cover you when you come earlier. So for this reason, you might want to buy early arrival insurance at discount rate. And if you can give me the permission to share the screen, I'll point the students where they can purchase this
Make
early arrival. Yep.
did it work? Wait. Oh, here we go.
Sure.
You are now the presenter.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
I hope you
Nice.
can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So if you come in earlier, you would need to purchase early arrival insurance, and you can buy it at GuardMe and BCC department, and it's over here, and it says early arrival international. So for students who come earlier, I would say we encourage students to have insurance every time they come to Canada, because in case something would happen with you in airport, you would not have the coverage. So for this reason, I would encourage you to go and purchase early arrival insurance, and this insurance comes with a discount rate for international students, so it's not gonna break the bank. But unfortunately, we saw in the past, because students already pay for the insurance and they assume, okay, I pay for my insurance, so I should be covered, and they come months before the study, and unfortunately it's not the case. The NBCC insurance for international students will cover you from the day when the classes starts. But if you come earlier, please purchase the early arrival international insurance, and that is the message I have for students.
Okay, good one. And
Yep.
while we are talking about early arrival, our next topic is about job opportunities. And I'm going to
Yes.
say something that is also very important about early arrivals. So, as a lot of people probably know, when you do come to Canada as an international student, you are allowed to work. As we were just talking about, yes, you'll have the opportunity to work as part of your program, but also when you're studying full time, you can also work part time, 20 hours a week. But that um, that privilege does not start until you are studying full time. Okay, so yes, you are allowed to work during your studies, 20 hours per week, but you cannot start doing that until you've had your first day of classes. So if you are planning to arrive a few weeks or a month early, you're welcome to do that. You know, it's a great chance to come and get adjusted to your new community in New Brunswick. You can, travel around Canada if you have friends or family. You can, find time to find an apartment, uh, all that. But you cannot start working until your classes have started. So if anyone, did you say it was April 21st the classes
Yep.
start?
Yes.
So yeah, April 21st, if that's the first day of class, that is the first day you can start working part-time as well. But we wanted to talk about working part-time and covering your living expenses while working in Canada. Right, Annie?
Yes.
And one thing we repeated I think like every webinar of last summer
Many times.
was
Yeah.
many times was that yes, you can work part-time, but part-time is not going to cover your living expenses. That is why immigration does require that you can prove that you have the cost for tuition plus at least $10,000 Canadian, because that's the minimum that you need to live in Canada. Um, Unfortunately, our working minimum wage, which in New Brunswick is about $11 an hour,
1150.
11.50. Thank you, Henny. 11.50 an hour. That's not going to cover if you're working 20 hours at 11.50 an hour, with taxes taken off. That's not going to cover your eating and living or tuition in New Brunswick, unfortunately. So, do you want to add on to that, Henny?
Well, I think you cover everything. I just
Yeah.
receive the questions from students because it seems like they want to they try to build their budget based on future work, and
Yeah.
you never
Please.
know when work comes and what you're gonna
No.
do, and if you can find the work. Of course, there is job opportunities, but please do not budget based on future job opportunities, because unfortunately we saw in our experience that students cannot afford to continue their education. It's really sad
Yeah.
sad cases. So please make
So
sure you have
yeah,
enough money and all that.
exactly. We want to set realistic expectations. So we don't want, as you said, we don't want anyone to be in a bad situation where they thought they would have a lot of extra money because of the part-time work. But as you said, you might not be able to find a part-time job depending on the community you're in, or it just might not be enough to as much as you thought. So
Yep.
so we're setting those realistic expectations. So
Plus
um,
studying in Canada is also could be challenging. You need time for
that's
adaptation.
right.
So
That's right. You might need more time and energy and effort to like everything. You might need all of your attention focused. I mean, you should have all of your attention focused on your studies. That's the reason you're here. So please
yep.
remember that. Yeah. So next we've got refundable versus non-refundable fees. Do you want to talk about that?
Yep. So many students ask me questions. What is mandatory to pay in order to join NBCC? What is refundable, what is non-refundable, and as you may know that we talked this in previous webinar, the mandatory fees when you apply for NBCC is $100 application fee. And with one application, you can apply for 2 programs, for the first choice and second choice. And as soon as you accept it, our admission office will issue you a letter of acceptance. And in order to reserve a seat for you, you would need to pay $500 reservation fee. And this reservation fee will go towards your tuition. So it will go to your tuition. And this $100 application fee and $500 confirmation fee or reservation fee, those fees are non-refundable. So in case if you couldn't get your if you want obtain your study permit, this money is non-refundable. However, students ask me if I want to prove immigration officers that I have money and I'm willing to pay for whole year or for the first semester. It's not mandatory, it's not required by NBCC, but if you willing to pay your tuition fee and in case you're not going to get your study permit, this money is refundable. So everything that you pay in regards to tuition fee is refundable, but application fee and confirmation fee is non-refundable. Yep.
But and I just want to, because you did touch on immigration there for a second. So if they do, for whatever reason, get refused, and sorry, I'm going to throw a complicated situation at
Yes.
you, but one we've seen in the past, I just want some refreshing. That if you've paid your $100, you've paid your $500, you've applied for your study permit, and for whatever reason you got refused, and it's too close to, let's say, September. Like it's too close to September to apply again and get accepted. So you're not going to be able to make it to September. But let's say we offer the same program in January. Are you able to transfer that $600, that like $500 to January?
That is a great question, and the short answer is yes. As soon as you got your study permit, as soon as you get the final decision from immigration, please let us know, because in case you got refused, you might want to reapply if you have enough time, and just let us know about your intention. In case you don't have enough time, you can defer your application only once for the next intake. So this $500, they're not refundable, but they transferable one time for the next intake. So in case we have seats in January, you can transfer it for January, spring, or fall. Yes.
Okay, great.
That's
So non-refundable, but transferable once if you're refused.
Yep. Okay. Confirmation fee, yes.
Nice. Okay, so the next question, kind of on a similar topic, conditional acceptance. Do you want to talk about conditional acceptance?
Yes. I have been asked many times, students waiting for the result for, as you may know, in order to be accepted at NBCC, you need to prove that you can communicate and you need to show the English proficiency. And in order to do it, you would need probably get the certificate. You can do it in 2 ways. You can get your English proficiency test, or you can use one of our pathways from college of our partners and graduate from their English programs in order to be accepted. However, as you may know, seats are filling up very fast at NBCC, and students. And one of the students told me, I've been waiting for my English language result, but by the time when I get the result, the seats, the program was closed, and they just a little bit frustrated. What should they do? And I always say, apply as soon as possible. As soon as you apply, we will reserve a seat for you, and you can submit your English proficiency test until July 15th for the program that starts in fall. So if you see there is some program available that you would like to apply as soon as possible. Reserve your seats, and you can submit your English proficiency test by July 15th, because some students, they want to get the let's say TOEFL or IELTS done first and then apply, but when they got the test, unfortunately, seats are not available, so it causes frustration.
Right. Yep. And that's tied into the program's availability in other
Yep.
campuses, or is that? Yeah, okay, go
Yes,
for it.
and that was exactly the case with one of the students. Was one of the student who get his test, but by time when he got his English test, program was not available in this specific example in Moncton campus, and the student was so frustrated because he's been planning it for like a year, and now he got his test, everything is ready, but the program is not available in Moncton. For this reason, I would encourage you to check. I will share the screen with you guys. Where to find. I will share the screen. So for this reason, you can go and check seats available list for international student. And you can, as you can see here, we have one of the program can be available in different campuses. For example, administrative professional is available in Fredericton, Moncton, and St. John. Let's say tomorrow Moncton, the Moncton intake would be closed, but this program is still available in Fredericton, and St. John, and that was the case with one of the student. He was so he got everything done, but his program culinary arts management was closed in Moncton, and he thought that is the end. But no, this program is still available in St. Andrews campus. So please check, because we have 6 campuses across province of New Brunswick, and this program could be available in any other campus. But once again, apply as soon as possible, reserve a seat, get your English test done, and come and then see you in Canada.
Yeah, and each campus is awesome in its own way. You know, I've had the chance to go to all 6 campuses to give my immigration presentations, and yeah, each one has its own unique character and personality, but they're all really great, really great people. So that's the other thing to consider. If you are really planning on doing one program and you were hoping to do it in one city or one town, but then that closed, explore the other ones and see if that's an option for you. And you can ask us questions about that, about the experience in each community, I guess. Maybe we'll do some webinars on the character of each campus. That could be fun.
Yep.
Anyway, okay. So last question before we get to live questions. You had a lot of questions asking about the postgraduate work permit length. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yes, a lot
Yeah.
of students know that they can, because a lot of students wondering if our program, if NBCC program are eligible for postgraduate work permit, and if they are, what would be the duration of postgraduate work permit?
Yes, so the good news is all students attending NBCC, I'm going to put a little star there, except for there's one that isn't just on its own, is bricklaying in Woodstock, because that is a 24-week program, I think.
Yeah, it's not
Um,
like,
so it's the only one. Every other program at NBCC is more than 8 months in length, and it's from a public college in Canada, and you will be as long as you attend full time for the entire program and you complete your program. These are all requirements, okay? As long as you meet all those, every international student at NBCC is eligible for a postgraduate work permit. But when you're talking about length of how long you're going to work afterwards, I can tell you quite honestly that it varies, and there is no, at this point, in my experience with what I've seen from students, I can say one thing, that IRCC is trying to make it more defined and more regulated. They're trying to have the if you type into Google postgraduate work permit length, I simply think you
yep,
can write that. You will see that it tells you, if you've studied this long, then you get a work permit for this long. So it should be that if you've studied for a year, you should get a work permit for a year. But I can tell you that there is still some interpretation by different IRCC officers of that. So technically, the one academic year at NBCC is about 8 months in the classroom, right? So I have seen, I saw it last year after graduation when some students got their postgrad work permits. 2 students stood in front of me, and I kid you not, I remember it vividly in the lobby of Moncton. They said they studied the exact same program, and one student got an 8-month work permit, and the other student got a 12-month work permit. They
For
studied the
1 year
same
program, right?
one-year program. It was a 1-year, yeah, it was a 1-year academic program at NBCC. One got 8 months, one got 12 months. So the reason I say that is because yes, so the general rule of postgrad work permit length is that how long you studied is how long you will get your work permit. So I can tell you one scenario, like as in it wouldn't be that if you studied for a year, you'll get a 3-year postgrad work permit. No, that's not likely. Okay. But what I can say that there's some variation is that if you studied for a year, you could get 8 months, 10 months, 12 months work permit. If you studied for 2 years, you could get again, you could get a 16-month postgrad work permit, you get 18 months, you get 24 months, or you could get 3-year postgrad work permit. That's the kind of variable that I cannot I mean nothing's guaranteed in immigration. I think everyone is aware of that. Sorry
Yep.
to burst that bubble, but they're trying to make it clearer. But what I've seen in real life is that there is slight variation, but the general rule is the amount you studied is the amount you can work. But one thing I can just quickly say is that as long as you have, because some students get hung up on the fact that, oh, if I study 2 years, will I get a 3-year postgrad work permit? And that seems to be really, really, really important for international students. And I understand having a 3-year postgrad work permit is great because it gives you the most time to gain that work experience, to gain that time. But what I would say is if you study 2 years and you get a 2-year postgrad work permit, that is still that's enough time to get your 1-year work experience in Canada, and that sets you up to immigrate through almost any, I won't say almost any program because I don't know each individual who's listening right now, but that opens the doors for as long as you've got that 1-year work experience, and then you figure out your pathway after that, then at least a 2-year postgrad work permit is good enough. So does that help?
Yep,
So
it
it's a
does.
common question.
It
It
is, and
is.
I just want to remind the students that you can apply for this only once, right? It's once in a lifetime.
Yes. Yes, that's also a very good point. I tell that to students when they arrive here because it is when they arrive that maybe they've come in on a 1-year program and they're thinking about doing another 1-year or a 2-year program on top of that. And I think that's a great idea. And I would say do it back to back. Do your studies back to back because the more completed programs, the longer your postgrad work permit will be. And do that back to back because if you study for 1 year, get a 1-year postgrad work permit, and then decide, oh, I'm going to go study for 2 years, I'll get a longer one. No, you only get one postgrad work permit in your lifetime. You cannot extend the one that you get. Yeah, you have to do that in advance. You have to kind of think it out in advance. So do your studies back to back if you're going to do more than one program. Okay,
Great. Yeah, and then
great.
just want to remind students that you can apply for postgraduate work permit after successful completion of
Yes,
NBCC.
that's right.
So yeah,
That's
you need
why
to study and you
you
need to
need study.
plan everything and you need to graduate and then you can apply. Yeah.
That's what I'm currently telling the students here. They're stressed out about immigration pathways, and I understand that. I do understand that, but I say, listen, make sure you're focusing on your studies, pass that successfully, because that's the first step. None of the other things can happen without you passing. You're here to study,
Yeah.
so we want you to focus on
Yep.
that.
Just
Yep,
make sure that main thing that you focus on main thing, not something else. Yep.
that's right.
I think we're done with the news and everything that we want to share. And
Yep.
Now time to
Yep.
jump into question. Unfortunately, I
We
don't
got
see the question bar. If you can read or
no, no, you have it now because I switched it back. Oh, I guess I have the chat bar, but I don't have the question bar. But
yeah, I don't
wait,
see question bar.
well, I'm taking it back. Oh wait, I don't want to show you. Sorry. Um, uh, so if I switch it back to um, oh, okay, all right, I've got it now. Okay, I've got it. Thank you. So, um, okay, so sorry, Hanny is usually the one who does this, so please bear with me. So I have a lot more appreciation for you, Hanny. But
We
I'm
have faith in you, Claire. Yeah,
all right.
you
Thank
can
you.
handle it.
Okay, so I will take it, the ones who asked it first. So can I consider my brother-in-law, who is a permanent resident in New Brunswick, a close family member when applying in IRCC? I'm applying for a student visa and husband will work on an open work permit. So a close family member when applying in IRCC. So are you talking, so I would need a few more details on that. Because normally, so I'm just wondering about which context. Can I consider my brother-in-law, who is a permanent resident in New Brunswick, a close family member when applying in IRCC? So um, I would just need a few more details. In which context? So he's not. So I could say that your close family, or sorry, your brother-in-law would not be a dependent of yours. They would not necessarily be on your like application, but if you are asking about, yeah, I need to know a bit more information. So if you want to follow that up, I'll get to the other questions and then I'll come back, if that's okay. Um, so, and then we had, oh yeah, some comments on the sound. Okay, and then we have a comment that someone got their visa refused. So and the reason I'm not using anyone's name is just because I know that this is going on YouTube. So I'm not going to reveal any personal information. So that's why I'm not using your names. But I'm going to say, all right, so someone got their visa refused, and it is so sad. But there's no penalty in, you can apply again. And what I would recommend is going to the NBCC resources that I showed you, and I do have visa refusal advice. So please look at that. Those are some of the most common reasons that IRCC might have refused you, and uh, some ways to address that, to add something to your next application. Okay. Okay, what is the percentage of local and international students in one-year programs? That's a really interesting question.
It's a great question. So our percentage, I would say, international students represent around 15% of students, but
Yeah, in total. Here in
in
Moncton,
in
it's even higher.
total, yeah,
Moncton, it's
Moncton,
about 35%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because Moncton is our largest campus, and there is
Yeah.
majority of, yeah, so
Yeah, but so in all campuses, the average is 15%.
yep.
Awesome. Cool. So you got a good mix.
And of course, like, we don't have the final numbers because the intake is still in the process, but yeah, that's what I can say from the last year.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. New Brunswick Community College, the history of being a community college is that it has historically only served the local community of New Brunswick, the local communities of New Brunswick. But yeah, in the past 5 years, we've gone from probably, I don't know, 1% to 15%. It's grown drastically, and it's really exciting. But you will definitely get to know local New Brunswickers, because that's what the college was set up for. But it's exciting having so many international students. Who is the most in number in international students? Thinking about nationalities. So we could say our probably top
So
three.
yeah, I could say that we got
India.
Indian students,
Yeah.
Brazilian,
Yeah. Brazil
Philippines,
and
Vietnam,
Vietnam. Yeah.
China, Ukraine.
Yeah. Ukraine. Yeah. Yeah. So those are all in the
Maybe not.
top
Yeah,
five.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, for sure. So, what is the average age in classes for trades class?
Wow.
I really
Well,
like these.
I like
The
this
quiz.
question. So I would
Yeah.
say that average age is students who above 25 years old.
Yeah.
I don't have the statistic out of top of my head for trades programs,
Trades
but in terms of
specifically. Yeah.
yeah, but in terms of age, because I received this question too. If am I old enough, or and maybe it's too too late for me. We don't have any age restriction. So if you feel like study, you can apply. We don't have any age restriction. But in general, our students, they probably about 25 years old. Yep.
Yeah, because
In
there are
terms of
quite
international, in terms
oh,
of international,
international.
I'm
Oh,
not talking
in
about the domestic. Yep.
right. Because I was gonna say domestic. You'll see a lot. And yeah, you're right. I think domestic students is still a lot that are younger. Um, International students maybe a bit older. Would that be fair? Yeah. But again, it's kind of it's a cool mix. You get to know people across the age spectrum from around the world and here in New Brunswick. So, is it easy? Oh, making a visa extension there. Yes. So it is it's very straightforward. It's essentially the same documents that you would need when you first applied for your study permit, but when you're already in Canada, it's, I'd say, a much higher success rate because you're already here, right? So you essentially need to show all the same things, but then yeah, it's pretty seamless. You just keep on studying, so no
In
problem.
case in case you
Yep,
didn't broke a law or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's true. As long as you were just studying and following the rules, then
Yep.
yes, it should be easy. Okay, what is the most common car to buy there and the most affordable or the best affordable? These are really good questions.
It's great
Henny,
question. Yes.
I so maybe I'll expose myself right now. Maybe some people know this about me. I do not own a car. So if anyone wants to know about getting around New Brunswick, getting around your community without a car, you can ask me. I use the bus with lots of international students every morning and take my bike in the summer. But how about owning a car, Henny?
So I would say there is a different, budget for any cars, starting from like $500 and
Yeah,
up. I mean,
yeah,
the repairs in Canada is also, could be very expensive. So
yeah,
please, I mean, you can buy the car for $500,
yeah.
but
It's true.
it,
Yeah, yeah,
it, it, it would be advisable if you know something about cars, so you can examine car and see how it works. Because otherwise, you can take this car to mechanic and you would pay like thousand
a lot.
dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, I would say from $500 and up.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
you need,
Good.
and yeah,
And
as
insurance.
international, yeah, and you would need the insurance that sometimes could be pricey, but it depends on the vehicle, on the year, on the condition. So yeah. In
Yeah,
Canada, it's mandatory to have car insurance, so
that's right.
you would need to take 3 points: the price of the car, the cost of the insurance, and some maintenance fee,
Registration.
yeah,
Yeah,
registration. Yep.
maintenance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a few things. Yeah.
It's not it's
That's
not always about the price of the car. It's what comes with the
you're
car.
listing all of the reasons why I don't own a car. Anyway,
And pollution.
and the pollution. All right. We, if anyone wants to have the environmental chat, we can talk later. But does medical insurance cover any problem there? So this is yeah. So for our GuardMe, um, yeah, it covers base almost everything, right?
Yep. So there's
It's a pretty great package.
two,
That's why we go with it.
yeah, we talk about this with Lucas in regards to the insurance,
Okay.
and You can watch in our previous webinar.
Yeah,
I posted on NBC Facebook page, and we
right.
did
We have one.
pre-arrival webinar with GuardMe insurance representative when we talk in details what covers what. But for as a general rule, we have two insurance. One is GuardMe. It's emergency based in case you need to go to hospital, you need to see the doctors. That's what GuardMe covers. And we got Gallivan insurance, and this insurance, if you need
Is for
get
you.
your teeth, glass prescription, and drugs. That's what Gallivan covers.
Yeah.
Yep. Please
All
reach
right.
to our pre-arrival insurance webinar so
Yeah.
we
There's one
discuss it.
fully on GuardMe.
Yep.
Okay, another. Okay, I hope this is the last question on cars. Where is the best and reliable place to buy cars? I think that, I mean, yeah, you could do that while
Well,
you're
well,
here. Maybe that's,
yeah. I think the most reliable car are new cars, and but
yeah, no,
in
totally.
my
But there,
in my case, yes, sir. In my case, I just we have a kijiji.ca, and I just
Mhm.
look for the prices and just type in the model that you think of.
yeah, there are a lot of answers to that. So that's maybe something once you get here, it's better to figure out, I think. But yes, Kijiji. We could put a link to Kijiji because that's something that is kind of helpful for a lot of reasons. So
Yep.
Kijiji is our search engine in Canada. It's for kind of the community trade, like trading, buying, anyway, services. It's kind of neat. Okay, the 1 year program says 1 year, but when I check the school start and end dates, it looks like 9 months. Why is that? Okay, so again, this is going back to academic years in Canada. Not all of them. But like some of our programs are full 12 months programs, but most or many academic programs are like 8 to 10 months. I'd say at NBCC, we typically go from September to April or September to June. So why is that? It's a good question. We follow the school system, like in the public school system, goes September to June. The university system goes September to April. Like that's kind of just the academic calendar culture here in Canada. Um, so that's why we fit in all of your information into that. It's nice. It gives you one thing I will say is in those breaks, the scheduled breaks, you're able to work full time. So that's kind of a way that you can help cover costs for things.
40
Okay,
hours, right?
what's that?
You can work for 40 hours during the scheduled breaks.
There is no stated maximum. You can
Okay.
work. I always tell students, I mean, I'm like, don't hurt yourself, but you're able to work as much as you can. Um, so, oh, someone was refused based on the travel history. How much travel history is good history?
It's a good
Oof,
question.
it's a good question. It's a frustrating question. Like as in, I think this is one of the most frustrating reasons that IRCC chooses to deny people. I can understand why they do it, but essentially, they want to see that you have traveled to a country, and to be to be honest, the best countries to visit would be like the United States or Europe or like the UK, which is no longer part of Europe, Australia. the so like they would like to see that you have traveled to a country and you've respected their immigration rules and you have left that country. That's why they want to see that. Um, and so it does help that if you've been to any of those countries, and have shown that you've not stayed or broken any rules, you've returned. But I think it's very frustrating that they can deny you if you haven't traveled to any of those countries. But that is,
And might
yep,
be not the
please.
only refusal because there is usually immigration officer they check mark few reasons.
Mm.
Yeah.
So sorry, it might not be the only ones that you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So If that's the case, if you are able, I don't know, if you are able to make a last minute flight to any of those countries, you could do that. If you're coming in September, there's still a bit of time. So, but yeah, look at the other, as Henny's saying, maybe there were a couple other reasons that you were refused, not only that, and focus on those ones. Because the next officer that checks your application might, I don't know, skip over that. But I will say something just on this note, that when you are reapplying, you can't just submit the exact same application. You have to have improved, like added something that they have said to that was one of the reasons for refusal. So yeah, but
Address
that
the issue. Yeah, you need
address
to
the
address
issue.
the
You
issue.
have to address what was missing, and that's why you will see in my list of reasons for being refused and some advice is a letter of explanation is really your your ticket there, like, is to explain why something doesn't make sense to them, or explain whatever they were asking about. All right, sorry, we're gonna get to a few more questions. How many students in Moncton campus and total in NBCC? I can tell you that there are about 450 international students at the Moncton campus. I don't know the total number of students at the Moncton
It,
campus. Do you
it,
know?
Not in Mankan, but for NBCC, it's 3,000, more than
Right.
3,000 students. Yep.
Any Turkish guys in Moncton campus? Actually, yes, I met with two Turkish students yesterday, so I can tell you yes.
Yes.
Um, can I buy secondhand books and materials? Yes,
Yes.
yes, you can. There are students wanting to sell their stuff. Okay, can I see some class videos before I come to have an idea? I don't know if that's an option.
Well, I will post the information on our NBCC International Facebook page, so you can see the classes. I will check with our marketing department for the
Yeah.
content, and I will definitely post it. Usually, you can see you can do the campus tour at our NBCC page. There is a campus tour, so you can see each campus and classes. But I will definitely post it on our NBCC International Facebook page, so you can familiarize yourself with the classes. And of course, when you come here, we will provide you with orientation session, so we'll show you
Well,
the
and that's a perfect, that was the next question. When we arrive there, what kind of orientation shall we be given? Um, and yeah, so do you want to
Yep.
talk about that, Henny? And I'm just
Yep.
going to write down some of these questions that I see because we're not going to
Great.
get to all of them, unfortunately. Okay.
So you will receive pre-arrival orientation, and last year we did 8 pre-arrival webinars with variety of guests. We invite current students, we arrived first year student, and we arrived instructors. So all the information that we feel would be useful for you, we will discuss it during our pre-arrival webinar with variety of guests. And during our orientation session, you're probably gonna meet me and Claire. We're going
Yay.
to guide you through academic year schedule, and you will have the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. And I was also thinking about, for the future webinar, uh, I see we have more questions than we can actually
Yeah.
handle. So I'll try to leave more space and more time
Yes,
for
we
the
will.
question, so you don't have to listen to us. That we can talk for hours, but we want
That's
to
right.
hear from you and address your questions. So for the next
Yeah.
webinar, let's change
Well,
our
that's
schedule so you can post your question and we're gonna answer them live.
totally. Well, but do you know what I was just going to say was that, yeah, because we're in the final minute, that's why I'm actually taking pictures of all of these questions, because I know that as soon as we close the webinar, those disappear. So I think these are a lot of amazing questions, and I would like to get back to them. So maybe we will start with these questions
Okay,
so next Wednesday, and then we'll go directly to live questions.
great.
But
I
yeah,
think it's great. And
yeah, this is
another
great.
another way to communicate with us, you can uh, reach us at NBCC International Facebook page. If
That's
you
right.
feel like you want to chat with someone, just send us a message and we'll get back to you. And as we said at the beginning, please do your research and check
That's right.
the
Check
resources, and
those
then
resources.
reach to us, because we're a little bit behind the schedule with answering the email.
Yeah.
So please do your work first and then reach to us.
Yeah.
And live webinars is a great opportunity for you to
Yeah.
ask the question and
We're
watch
so happy
recorded.
everyone's
Yep.
here.
Yeah, and
That's right.
recorded webinar. Yep.
I think it's Henny and I, the first two live webinars we did just I guess 3-4 weeks ago now, there weren't many people here. So so that's why we were always trying to fill space. But wow, you've got lots of questions. So next week we're going to, yeah, as you said, flip that model. We'll get to your questions sooner. Thank you so much for showing up today, and have an amazing week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Yep, next Wednesday, same time, and you can watch
Same
this
time,
webinar on
same
YouTube. I will
place.
post on Facebook International page so you can reach and see, review it again. See you
All
guys,
right.
and bye, Claire.
Bye.
Yep.
Okay, bye, Henny. See you. All right. Ending for all. Bye.